We're looking to find out about talent and how to discover what talent one has, looking at our neuro system. Remember, NEURODIGEST is about our neurology and how our body is formed. We are here with Professor Humphrey, who is the owner of Gates Institution, right? And he's going to take us through how this is possible, because it's something that sounds fictional and sounds impossible, but yes, he has done it, and there are very many success stories. Thank you, Dr. And thank you for having us. Yes, so you could just let us know like a bit about the institution itself.
All right, the Gates Africa Group has been sponsored by the Gates, the US, and I'm the head of missions, not the owner.
All right.
And so I represent it, and its job is to implement talent-based learning. Obviously, when you have gone through professional and scientific assessment of talent, and you have your talent report followed by your talent prescription, and a learning prescription is carved out. What do you do with a learning prescription? Just like if you have a prescription for a hospital, you have to look for the pharmacy and get the medication.
So we are at the pharmacy.
At the pharmacy. So although here we have two of them, we are both the diagnosis, and we have all.
So it's a one-stop
shop
for everything.
For all, yes.
Okay.
So Get Yourself is a talent-based learning institution. It implements the learning prescription. So it helps connect you with individual experts according to your talent GINA. Talent is measured in a unit known as GINA, your specific talent. It connects you with resources and institutions that can help map and enhance that talent.
Wow.
So this is the job of the Gates. Now, where we have a reception, it's just like a hospital where we have a reception, where we open, you find, and then the nurse will be able to ask you a number of questions. So this is the section for the oral screening. Now,
so what we want to do first is actually get the data for Andrew, his history, so that we can be more informed of how his birth process was, and if there is anything that went wrong, how his diet is, how his behavior, his likes and dislikes, or anything else. I don't know. What else apart from his general information is on here?
General information?
Yes, apart from the general information. What does the oral data section involve?
It actually helps us to understand the background information, and give us a start where we can be able to determine the development stages that Andrew has been going through.
Yes. So we're checking the developmental milestones. Remember, we said some of the indicators in autism is usually how early, late that some of these milestones were achieved according to what is the clinically desired ages for these achievements. So that is information that actually advises on his history. Is likely. He's currently.
Yes, just click on that.
It will show me. So he's male. So the email is address. Mine as a parent. Yeah. Okay. Okay. How do you weigh, Andrew? Last I checked, he was 35.
35.
And he looks like he has put on something.
Adjust later.
Okay.
Even
or
the height.
You will be able to.
Yeah, we can be able to adjust.
I don't remember the height. 121. How tall are you, Andrew? Okay.
We can correct those ones
You
later.
can, okay. Okay.
Go down. Continue. Let's say
Register candidate.
Mhm.
So we have filled the first part of his general details: when he was born, his weight, his height, and what else? Yeah, and personal information generally. It's like creating a card at the hospital, so to speak. So there are no errors. Comme si, comme ça.
Okay.
Are interested in patterns, categories, and okay. This part when you bring a let's go to the machine.
Right, once we look at the O, we shall be able to make sure that its body is symmetric.
Okay.
Yeah, then we'll do what is called trimming to move you away from the materials to the front with the camera. So just ready.
Okay.
When you're ready, let me know. I'm doing a test. If you see some light,
Up, from up.
did you see light?
Yes,
Baby,
yes.
baby,
Ready.
Okay. 1,
Two.
2,
Uh-huh.
3. Look up.
Look up. Look
Press
up.
the button.
Look up.
That's it. It's done.
Again. He wants again. Another one. He wants another one. You want another light?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah. Look
Let's do
up.
that. Look up.
Look up.
Look up there. Okay.
Look up.
Yes.
Press the button.
Ah, yeah. You let go. Ah, he's
Aye.
out.
So it's done.
The thing is, Andrew has actually gotten very comfortable. The area feels like a sensory room because of the way it's dark and it is boom. You feel like boom. So he wants to play hide and seek. But what you know is, immediately he goes in and the machine goes on, the information is actually wired to all other talent sessions where professors who are professionals in these analyze his data, and let's see what they find out and what comes out of it in his neuro system. We find out what's blocked, what he functions best with, so that we can know which area in terms of either sports or mathematics or science that he will be best in. So that is exactly what we want to find out.
done.
So we're here with Professor, and we'd like for him to just give us a briefing of what exactly he does, how he ended up here, and what the process is all about, so that we can understand what it is that we just did with Andrew and how it's going to be of benefit. Thank you, Dr. NEURODIGEST.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having us also.
Thank you. My name is Professor Humphrey Bora. I'm the World Secretary General and CEO of Talent, based in the United States of America, in Kentucky specifically. The World Talent Federation is a 54-year-old organization which deals with the advocacy of innate ability of people known as talent. We go forward to connect people with other institutions that can be of benefit to the development or discovery of that innate talent. In terms of learning, once we conclude a professional and scientific assessment of talent, we get the records of such people to our international database of talent. And with that information available there, universities, including Ivy League universities, including institutions of basic and intermediate learning, do have access to your information. If that happens, and they know your potentials, they can, one, be able to provide you with international scholarships to link you with those institutions. For example, you could get an international scholarship to an international university, which is an Ivy League university. You could as well get funding to support the merchandises and designs that are found in your inherent abilities. So for that reason, in Africa, for the longest time, until 2008, when I was appointed the World Secretary General of Talent, there has been no advocacy or support for professional and scientific assessment of talent. Talent has often been confused for sports, for music, and something like that.
So how do we differentiate the two? How do we differentiate talent and something like sports?
Right. Sports, comedy, music are only exhibited opportunities of talent. It is the visible indicators, sign that you do have a talent. Things like your passion, your interest, your competence are just symptoms of talent. Just like fever is a symptom for illness. But in Africa, if you have fever, the most immediate conclusion is that you have malaria. The truth is, fever is just a symptom of many other sicknesses. And if you go to treat fever, then you can only be providing painkillers. So you are not curing the sickness, but managing the symptom. And that has been the catastrophe in the learning process in most African countries. Now, talent is you in metric values. Who are you? Who are you in metric values? Holistically. If I knew your value, Sylvia, I can do very many things. I can predict your future fashion.
Oh, wow.
Because I have your measurement, just like if I have measurements of a house, I can design the house the way I want it.
That's true.
Artistically, I can manipulate. If I have your values, Sylvia, I can predict or rather forecast your learning.
So you align my learning according to my metric.
Your metric values.
Oh.
I can forecast your health and fitness.
Oh, really? Like
because I have your values.
Okay, but I thought the body changes.
Assuming that you stay in the same environment, which most people do, assuming that your eating patterns remain fairly the same, which most people do, and even if those are changed, you will know what changes will occur there.
Oh, so you can see both ways.
For example, in health and fitness, if I had your metric values on the basic assumption of the factors in where you are, and you change your location, we know what that new location would do to your body, and therefore the intervention methods will match that new locality. You understand?
Yeah.
Now I want you to make sense out of what I'm speaking.
All right.
You walk over to a hospital because you feel you're sick.
Yes.
The first step you arrive there is that they open your file. That's exactly what you did this morning when you went to the reception.
Yes.
After opening the file, we do what is called basic background check. Okay? And in the basic background check, here we call it oral screening.
Okay.
So in our oral screening, we want to understand your background. But ours is very specific because we know that we are a bit more biased to learning. Okay? So we are keener on knowing that after conception, what took place during pregnancy. Because a lot of things that occur there change what we call signal paths
For the body.
for the developing fetus. Remember, child development is only the establishment of communication paths between the body and the brain. Okay? So, but if the mother, for example, was using drugs, alcohol, if the mother was using contraceptives, if the mother had a neuropressure, meaning was under a very difficult living condition, either lack of nutrition, lack of supporting husband, supporting boyfriend, supporting family, that kind of thing, they can create mawazo. That means they can create neuropressure on the mother, which is transferable to the fetus.
So emotional stability.
Emotional stability really counts there because they do have an impact on signal sequence paths. okay, as the fetus grows. So, and we need to look at a number of things, but most importantly, we look at something known as pica. Pica, the Latin word meaning eating non-food items. When ladies become pregnant, due to sometimes lack of minerals, they eat stones. Some eat non-food items, that's what we call pica, which do have a natural medical impact, but that will be dealt by doctors. But I am concerned with the impact on signal paths and in terms of particularly signal shifts and shafts. Then we look at during birth. In terms of what took place during pregnancy, clinically it can affect your birth. It can bring prolonged labor, preterm birth, or postpartum birth. Could even result in CS in some cases. And again, we look at what takes place during birth, because we have now what are called birth shafts occurring during that time. Now, why we're keen on these shifting shafts is because it affects what is called learning styles and product styles.
The time he broke a glass
Just like that. Yeah.
Even though if he holds until he
that
wants,
means he has a concentration on it.
Yeah.
That's that was there. All right, so we'll just pick up from where we left.
Yes.
Sorry, I've been middle of a long time, I understand. Okay, all right. So again, we are concerned about what takes place immediately after birth until 4 years. During this moment, we are in the external environment where accidents can occur, which can again bring a lot of jobs. At the age of 4, then the front lobe of the brain is fairly established, and communication paths with the rest of the body, mainly the main organs which are base stations, also known as quantum points, are finally fairly established. So that's why we say when we have a 4-year-old kid, though we could find some exceptions, younger or much later, but on the average 4 years, we can be able to find what is known as matrix of the brain, known as brain diametrics. We can find matrix of the body known as quantum matrix, or the whole body measurement known as anthropometrics. Matrix.
everything is metrics.
Metrics. So metrics means your values, and there are different types of values, okay, that you find. And that's why we say God is an artist.
He is quite a
gave all this, and that's why it's said, your talent is innate. It is God given. So now that you know those, then how do we find the matrix? Then we follow a procedure just like a hospital. That's why you open your file, and then we go through a litany of questions just like a nurse asks you. When did it start? Did you take some medication? Did you eat what food today? No. You understand? They are trying to establish what really could be the problem. And again, as we start checking what took place in pregnancy, during birth, and the first 4 years. So we do that called oral screening. Once we establish that, we have a fair idea of who we are dealing with, then now we can decide which method we are going to use to eliminate or to confirm some of those facts. So that means from the nurse we go to the doctor. So for us, the doctor is known as the psychoscreener. The nurse is called the oral screener. Okay? So the psychoscreener is somebody trained, talent expert like myself, who will now choose a desired model. Okay? Most of the models are psychological models. Okay? So once you choose the right model, then I can decide to do a confirmation. And what doctors do is they would send you for a stool test, a blood test, X-ray test, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why are those tests? They want to confirm. For example, in a blood test, are there more white blood cells in the blood than usually known, so that we know there's an infection. or why not test, all those, why, so we choose a model. And once we choose that model, then we also send you for another test. But this is common in both tests. Whether you go for X-ray, stool test, blood test, the results from the technologies,
All of them.
they are in metric format. You understand now?
Yes.
And you need an expert to interpret and confirm. The same thing we do. We send you to a machine. That's why we went to that machine. It is the one known as anthropo biometric machine. Anthropo, like I told you before, means human. Biometrics, that one you know. Now we get your metrics using biometrics method. Okay? Now once you go into anthropo biometric, which is a cubicle fitted with special anthropobiometric kits, it will in less than a minute produce for me you minus flesh and bones, only showing how signals pass through your body and how they terminate with the front lobe of the brain. Now the brain is divided into left and right, and there's a thin membrane dividing them into upper and lower. So we have 4 areas known as the quadrants of the front lobe of the brain. Each quadrant represents certain activity. Like when your signals pass through the body, if we see that most signals always go, like I see in your case, on the right side of the brain and the upper side, then we know we have a volcanic brain. The brain of the musician, the brain of the artist. You understand? These events make us people who are non-conformed. The left hand side of the left upper side, the brain represents sense, the lower represents decision making, and the right lower side represents manual dexterity, meaning physical strength. If you look at all forms of careers, they are just specialisms of one of those. Okay? And so you can see why it is very easy for me to know the details of a person and to forecast their careers 20, 30 years in advance. So you can see the day on our continent, in our country, when somebody sees you with the naked eyes and the judges that you're going to be a musician and the judges that you're going to be a dancer, you see the naked eyes. It's not different from a person saying, hey, hiyo joto ni mingi, nafikiri hii jamaa kana malaria mbaya. It's summarized. There's no difference there. And that's where the problem is. Now, when we're dealing with persons with disability, we have to be more cautious. I've dealt with quite a number of cases that were thought to be disabled, were actually normal. Very, very normal. Somebody like Matthews Karungu, who now works at the Communication Authority of Kenya, was for a long time thought to be a special needs kid. And special needs kids, in the context of Africa, is somebody cannot make it. Hang on, just having physical mobility does not mean
You cannot.
it's just there's a lot more. He's in charge of strategy and innovation at a government facility, Communication Authority of Kenya. When we started with Matthews, and I told the mother it's not, she thought it's a joke, you know. And now he finished, got his degree, went for internship like everybody else, and finally confirmed as a permanent staff. And I deal with a number of those many cases. And my question is, if such a person is made, and we have what we call normal people unable to make it, then what's the problem? The answer is simple. When you took your child as a parent to a learning institution without having the metric values of your son or your daughter, meaning you don't know the talent of your young person, are you not very different from somebody who invested in a business without a business plan? And if you had no plan, including the government that gave the bursary, without knowing that land, then are you not very different from somebody giving an injection to a patient without any medical review and with disastrous results in the end. That now explains why for more than 50 years in many African governments, it's about change from this curriculum to the other one, change from this other one to the other one. Oh, no, this exam method is very bad. This one, it is always on off. Now they have concluded that, there's no perfect curriculum.
Okay.
We will be revising that curriculum every 5 years. There was a time they started doing talent academies because they can teach talent. I can tell you, Sylvia, there's a problem.
Talent is not taught. It's supposed
It's
like just
not.
what you said. It has to come from within.
It is you in metric value. Once we have your metric values, Sylvia will write your talent report just like a doctor writes a medical report, followed by a talent prescription just like a doctor writes a medical prescription. From the talent prescription, we'll carve out your learning prescription. I'll tell you why. A talent prescription has many things. It could include health and fitness, it could include your fashion values, it can include very many things. But for the sake of learning, we'll carve out another prescription on it, known as a learning prescription. So your son here, Andrew, will evolve through his natural prescription. You understand?
Whatever, I get you. So whatever we see
Yes.
that is his alignment according to the quadrants of his brain,
Yes.
then now we can be able to know, let's focus, this is where he's aligned to.
And it's not one thing.
Yeah, like the various angles. So at
Yes.
least you can build. Because as a parent, I can see, like you have seen,
Yeah.
he likes music.
Yes.
But then now there is a challenge of how do we keep him calm to teach
Yes.
him the music.
How do you captivate him?
Yes, how do we captivate his attention so that
Yes.
he can actually follow the instructions?
Yes.
He likes computers.
Yes.
But there are times he will pay attention, there are
Yeah.
times he just wants to
Yes.
go and be everywhere. So you can see it from far.
Yeah.
And even you see how keen he is when
Yeah.
it comes to joinery
Yeah.
and putting things
Yes,
together.
yes.
So I always, and singing, he can remember all the songs in my car.
Yeah.
Before he started talking,
Yeah.
so the day he started talking,
Yeah.
he can't quite have a conversation,
Yeah.
but he can hum the words he understands.
Yes.
And I mean, he can say the words he understands and hum along the entire song with very perfect
I
notes.
can only give you one summary from what I've seen. The boy is that he's going to do what's called a pop up. He's going to pop up. All restlessness will calm down over time. From what I've seen, as we do captivation, but that will come from the prescription. We'll see. But remember, it's not one thing. There's one confusion here in Africa, and Kenya included, that they come here to find your career. There is nothing like a career. For us, we have your domains. Your dominant talent domains known as domicile. Talent is divided into subsections.
Okay.
There is what I call the ability ones. They call talent domiciles.
Okay.
And then there are ingredients to make it work. Your attitude, moral standing, those kind of things. And that's what we say is God-given. God gave instructions.
Yeah.
The instructions to make it work. They are known as talent rigors. So when we write those reports, the experts that deal with them, we write for them the rigor values and the domicile values. Then we will connect with opportunities and the resources that will make best in those ones. Okay? For example, I could have the domicile values to be biased in a musical setup. That is just an opportunity. What is a musical setup? There are so many things that can be done there. Will you deal with the verbal reasoning? Shall we deal with organization, composition? There are many things. Shall we deal with it solo or as a team? We will be the team members that we can query the international database and find these ones will be in coherence with this person, because sometimes you put people with the wrong people that end up even killing the original wiring of the person. And the prescription will tell us what opportunities, where will you take your child for adventure, where will you take your child for experiential learning. unfortunately, in Kenya and the rest of Africa, where we look at a child is called a school, it's only intellectual talent which has been emphasized at the altar of other talent domicile values. Academics is just one dominant domicile of talent, just one. It's just the intellectual talent. But there are other things. You can't just deal with one. That's why some of the young people, when you do one item, they reach another extent, they see another, they jump to the other. Because most people have the dominant, semi-dominant, and the submerged. And each one has its own role in the development of that talent. And if you work that way, is when we can say you are doing career focused. Without that, we can't.
Now, the way the government is changing our system to say that it is now doing CBC,
yes,
curriculum-based,
competence-based curriculum, yes.
So is that an improvement? If we look at now bringing out, talent, our local definition of talent that you just clarified, will it be a bit more helpful as we're trying to tap into the diversity that we have in the community?
Sylvia, let me put it this way. I've been contributing to these commissions, the David Coach Commission and the Professor Douglas Odhiambo Commission. And I talked about talent. And you have heard what I mean by talent. Okay? Initially, and after campaigning for more than 20 years, I felt for the first time the government had what we were advocating for. I only thought they mistook the word talent for competence. So I was patient. But going by what I'm seeing, I don't see talent-based learning in it. Because one, competence by definition is a symptom of talent. It's just like fever. It's just like passion. It's just like interest. You understand me?
Yeah.
You would ask yourself, competence is very general, very, very general. A young man in a village never went to any school, collected primitive resources, and started a radio station. Would you say he's competent or he has a talent? He has a talent. So that young man who has assembled those primitive things and set up a radio in the village never went to any school. Will you say he's using his competence or his talent? Then that should give you a insight into what we're getting into. If you have no means of knowing somebody's talent, how will you find somebody's competence? And if you don't know that person's competent, then what are you anticipating as a result? It is nice to go overseas and benchmark, but it's important to know that a parent in Finland that we keep mentioning because we like mentioning names is not the same parent we saw at Nando in the Bureti corner that will see a building cave in and track back the child in there. It's not the same parent in Tana River who is struggling to make a meal a day. You are not going to expect that to work for you in Africa. We have to be very real.
Good with. Sit there and play. Sit down.
Yeah. What we know is that talent is natural. It's like telling the villagers, you are all sick, we're bringing medicine. But we have no means of any medical diagnosis. So every medicine will cure you. That's what we're doing, and that's what competence means. Yes, this is, and we're headed the wrong way. Now, it comes with a lot of resource requirements. However, I must also state that it's not bad for our Kenyan government, and it's not too late for our Kenya government to amend this situation. It is okay to make something popular based on one success in a country, but you have to look at your reality. Here in Kenya, we're dealing with a developing country, poor, overburdened by debts. That kind of curriculum that requires the majority of parents who are peasant farmers to be involved will take a hell of resources in training, providing physical resources to both the students and parents. In the long run, we will run out of those resources. But it bothers me. Why would a developing country spend billions and billions of dollars into a system that consumes from the same citizens, while talent is natural and innate? And you don't need to do much with talent. You only need to assess, provide a prescription, and somebody evolves. You do not need to change any curriculum. Well, in fact, it doesn't make sense to change things. We are always progressive. The schools we already have is what we should have enhanced, because the schools are resources where people, when they go, if you have your prescription, you go to a pharmacy that you can afford. You go to a pharmacy which is near you. You are told nutritional values. Because in a prescription there are other things. You do exercises in a locality that you can afford and manage.
If our schools are able to find out that this is the talent, and then we work with the existing without changing the curriculum,
right,
it's going to work.
Look, even in our prescription, we take the background of where you're from, okay? And then we included the prescription. Yeah, even a doctor would not prescribe for you medicine without considering your locality. Because you would just like it. It doesn't make sense.
So do we have a government that is using the procedure of analyzing the talent base and then now enrolling the children in the schools?
Anthropobiometrics don't need to be for schools. Like I told you, is used. They are everywhere in the world. This machine I have here in Kenya was donated in 2010 and I have 6 others. And we're moving on in Africa, in Cameroon, in Zambia, Nigeria, South Africa, Malawi. We have a project going on there. I mean, it's nothing like a new system. You know, Kenyans say when they hear something new, that new learning system, there's no system here. There is nothing like a new education system in what I'm talking. I'm only saying these are things which are available to give you information and make learning natural. Don't confine your thinking in the 4 walls of a classroom with a curriculum. There's more learning out there. Now then encompassing value in all this is that when I write your prescription, I will even include schools. What is wrong with you learning communication skills? What is, if it's relevant for your natural prescription? What is wrong with learning finance? What is wrong in learning a new language? You see, but what is wrong is that I will confine you in the 4 walls of a classroom, in a dilapidated classroom, and expect you to produce some result. Yet your prescription included something else. That's why we go wrong. We are expecting all gunias of Wahoo to produce chips in a period of time. This is the problem in our education system. It doesn't allow you. Now, even think, if your child is gifted, by gifted I mean everyone has a talent, some form of talent, mention value, but not everyone is gifted. Being gifted means you have multiple dominant talents working in real world. You're a sportsman, you're a medic, you are a musician, you are an acrobat, and you are like 100% in all. Then you're gifted. So about only 10% of the world population can be described as gifted. Now that poses a new problem for our competent-based learning or our normal curriculum. if you found a child capable in more than 6 career domains, which stream will you take that child?
Just vocational training is hard enough right now.
I just go think about that as a Kenyan, because Professor Magoa and the team are telling you, when they reach this level, then they'll transit to the arts, they'll transit to the sciences, they'll transit to whatever. You understand me? And this thing they call talent, you know, they're saying thinking football, they're thinking comedy, they're thinking music. You know, in their mind, what is talent? Even if you didn't come here, what do you think in the mind of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development? What is talent?
Talent is what we're used to. Like, oh,
we'll take if your child is good in football,
yes,
in rugby, we'll have the industry club, ya rugby, ya sport, kama mtoto ni mzuri kwenye drama, tuta section department, art, kama ni science, do you understand their thinking? Now there's the problem. Okay, we've now reached the terminal end. I've won good in 6, 7. So what do? You cut him into pieces and throw his pieces there.
Give him 1 week here, 1 week here, 1 week here, 1 week here. And then now shortlist from the 6 what is best.
But even worse, how are you going to decide who goes where? By the naked eyes, assumptions, and family pressure. Or who is your mother or your father? With what we have right now as competent-based curriculum, as I see it now, we are going to have social segregation. The parent in Tana River, Marsabit, fighting for a meal a day, being involved in the learning of their child, and a parent earning more than 500,000 in Nairobi, living in a 5-bedroom house with the resources. Are we talking the same things here?
No,
or as they try to cover for it, that you can use your local resources. When you use your local resources and a person uses high-level resources, who has a better chance to succeed?
What the heck better?
So I am just telling you that I appreciate my Kenyan and I appreciate my president for daring to dream, for daring to do. But it is important that we think again. What do we want to achieve in the final end? We want to bridge the gap between us and the developed world. What I'm talking about is what the developed world is doing. In November, we have a big conference about this in Europe. And they know the future of learning, the future of medicine, the future of things is having metric values of a person. Now our people are not doing this. Then how are you going to bridge the gap?
We can start by education, at least so that they know whatever is being done is not the right way, at least that way, if they don't know as yet.
And it doesn't take long, Sylvia.
Yeah.
It takes only 45 minutes to assess a person. And we can do it in churches, we can do it in school. I already have the command station here, they just need to have the remote access levels and configure the computers there. And then even say it's a project for 3 years. Then we're done with 70% of the population. And we continuously, in about 5 years, we have metric values of all Kenyans in a talent database. Meaning, Sylvia, if I am youth fund and I have 10 guys that want to form a band, I only need to go to the National Talent Database and query, yes, Koech, you've come, you have a great voice. I want to form for your band, I'll query. Or I found Onyango who can play for you drums very well, and his aptitude and other qualities match you. Or I have seen Juguna, who is very good in events organization, he should be your band leader. You understand, Sylvia? Today, people form bands archaically. You know, after a short while, band members break up. There was no chemistry.
You're not aligned.
You understand what I'm talking?
Yeah.
But even worse, When they come with that to the youth fund, and youth fund tells them, come 10 of you, we'll fund you. No wonder the youth fund has now given close to 200,000 loans, and they can't pinpoint even 2 job creators out of that.
Wow,
So what is the point in spending money in poor people whom the only credential is to come up 10 of them with some business plan? These are poor people hungry. How difficult is it for me to forge a plan and come 10 or even 200 of us so that we get the money and then go split in the background? That's why they're not working. I keep reminding them, Ngongoro Race Course in Kenya, Nairobi, they make very great furniture.
Along the road.
Ngongoro,
Yes.
you know, near Ngongoro Race Course.
Yes.
An Asian man comes all the way from India, not educated, sets up a mall for furniture, invites them to work for him as clerks and retail people. They forget what they're doing, and he buys off their furniture, sells more than 10 times the original price. Soon there's no production, and they begin to import furniture from China. You understand?
So that's why when we entered the office, we saw a lot of people who seem to have achieved a lot and have accolades. I believe those are your success stories.
Yeah.
Like, apart from Karuno, like said, who else? I saw a young boy that is outside who can actually sort colors when blindfolded.
Yes.
That is one I'd love to meet.
Okay, right.
But like, how did that process go?
Well, one other mistake in Kenya is that when you talk talent, they think it is for young people. Even an old person has talent. Talent is natural from God. Until you die, it's always existed. Misdiagnosis or lack of diagnosis in the beginning does not mean you don't have talent. The only difference is that how we assess adults, it differs from children and the youth. Okay? With the adults, we take cognizance of the fact that they already have life experience and work experience in addition to their natural talent. So once we establish their mature talent, we evaluate their experiential learning, we get their prior credits, which are very useful for transfers to international universities. So you will find very many adults, mainly members of parliaments, MCAs, governors, who have been to my institution. I think in Kenya particularly, close to half the government indirectly would have achieved their degrees, masters and doctoral via mature talent accreditation of life achievement and work experience through a number of international, 142 universities, including 6 Ivy League universities, have signed up to be members of our federation, meaning they can admit you without grades, with low grades, as long as our talent report indicates otherwise. I think you see this in many of those websites. So you find somebody like Estokade, the Nigerian 10-year-old that joined the British Open University at only 10 in financial mathematics and completing up to PhD at just 14, benefiting from these programs. You find somebody like Godfrey Mwai, who was born without growth hormones, and after assessment and going through the machine, we found the right upper brain to have a kick. This is a young man who could send to the shop, could not remember how to come back. The parent says they found him on Mombasa Road, stopping all vehicles and creating a huge traffic jam. And after 4.5 years through rewiring, because we have this prescription, is able to live safely on his own, take public vehicle, connect again from CBD of Nairobi all the way to Ngongoro and back. He is now almost completing his degree, though it's taking longer. And if somebody without growth hormones and had no cognition at all can now find his direction, he's now part of a musical band, you know,
and can now become independent and live his own life, then you can see the benefit of knowing the talent of a person professionally, scientifically, because you can carve out that learning prestige that is not merely intellectual, the four walls of the class. If you find emotions learning, 90% is outside the classroom. Yeah. And I mean, the parents are very, very grateful for this. So we got many testimonies. If you go to our website, gatesafrica.org, you click on videos and photos, you will find a lot of testimonies in video format from our website there. Again, you will find a lot of very extreme cases from our giftedafrica.org website. If you want it for adults who are benefited, and you go to Kyle-Africa.org, Kyle, C-A-E-L, Kyle-Africa.org, you'll see how parents, adults, some parents came in to bring their kids. They found value for them because themselves were dropouts.
So they want to discover themselves.
Yes, you mean I can also still get back. So parents come and then we assess them for their mature talent, life and work experience, get their prior credits, put to the national database, universities pick them up, they're given uniform exemptions, they do skills gap fill up, intellectual demand build up, and then in a short while they get their degrees. So that's why you see members of parliament who are actually also parents with their kids here, they also benefited. So this is we see this working in communities, and this is what probably the Kenya government and the rest of the African government that thought competence-based learning should have dealt with talent, not competence. I think it's not late. I think the Kenya government is not wrong. Let me put it this way. But the mere fact that the government is trying to do something new, we need to thank them. So whether there's a fight between Magoa and Sossion and the NAT fraternity, for me, I would say one thing. Both of them are trying to do something good. The Professor Magoa is trying to invent something new because there has been a lot of cry about cramming, memorizing, and recalling on the full scams.
And just do it.
Sossion wants it to be done the right way, which is still okay. However, also, bureaucracy can be very time-consuming. Sometimes when you have to write a deal, you can run with it. So Magoa could be running with that, right with that. Unfortunately, if you run with the wrong thing, you can end up with your people in the oceans. That's my parting shot for them.
Okay, that is good. And looking at the names that you have mentioned, my thought as a parent, I'm just thinking, is that affordable? Like 219, is it something that's accessible for any parent or listener who would be like, I would like to do that? Is it something that one can afford? Because we were hearing MPs,
No. We only mention MPs for the sake of people you know.
All right.
I work private since the year 2010. It's now close to 9 years with the machine here. 9 years, but in practice I've done 22 years. Now, we have assessed, concluded, and worked with us more than 1.8 million. I am one person. One person. You understand?
That's very
close to 2 million people. Right. Can you imagine if the government had to back it up and take it? It's not like I'm looking for business from it. My legacy will be simple. I went out of this country, came back with something good, which I've been fighting for the very longest. Those who know me since the year 2000, I came back from the UK. This is what I've been talking about. And I feel the government someone's getting it, but if somebody wants to run away with it, I've had some bad cases where Kenyans have come and said, if you want this thing to work, you must make me understand. It's plagiarism. Mtu anataka kitu umesoma, some PhDs and involving a number of people. They want to learn it in a month.
Yes, in a very short
and somebody told me I need to do a budget of 140 million, so that because it doesn't require much. I only need extension in idle social halls in Nairobi. They're idle. Just for the young people there who are idle to know their talent, and we have things they can work with. And we create talent-based learning little clinics around those. That doesn't cost a lot of money. I believe with 100K, 200K, but somebody says put a budget 140 million for the entire Nairobi.
And that's where we go wrong. That's where we go
So people want now to make the money, and if I don't accept that, then that project collapses. You understand? Make me a board member of your institution.
Because of what?
Make me this and this. And this is why good ideas get killed, you know, in this country. And this is what I must say that for the last close to 20 years, I've been there since 2000. We haven't done much. I've only been able to work private. But all the big and mighty have been with me.
Wow, that was quite eye-opening and intriguing, to say the least. You have seen the people who've been here, you've heard for yourself, and at least there is hope of another way of us finding out, as parents, especially as children, how we can be able to assist our children and find what it is they can do. Remember, we always advocate to focus on their ability and not the disability and the challenges that the children go through, and at least we have some light. We'd like to say thank you to Dr. for having us and for allowing us to also go through the facility and get to understand the science behind it. So remember, talent is something that's God-given, and each of us has it in us. It's just a matter of finding out which is your greater talent so that you can align your life to it. Until next time, do have a lovely night and go find out. And if you'd like to talk to Dr. don't forget our social media pages are open and our SMS number for all your questions so that we can guide you to the right person. Thank you and good night.